Hello, spider friends. Hello, movie aficionados who are joining me for this. Oh, I forgot to take my bracelet off, and that's going to drive me crazy because it's going to jingle jangle. I just take this off. I do apologise. Very unprofessional of me. Um, we are doing today my top 10 list of best and worst movies of 2019. Um, there are some rules for the list. Rule number one is that I have to have seen the movie for it to be included on the list. So if you're like, well, it was so-and-so movie, probably didn't see it, is the answer to that. The other rule is when I say, like, best, I mean films I enjoyed the most. I say worst, I do not mean that the film maybe necessarily was poorly made. Because if I did mean that, then the only films that would ever be on the list would be things like made from The Asylum or Roger Corman, which I haven't seen any this year. But also, like it's worst with a pinch of salt. It's not like literally the worst. And I'm like suddenly regretting not having seen Cats, seeing some of the reviews of it. But we'll do this in the same order that we've done the other videos. We'll do the worst first and we'll save the best for last. However, these are in order of I'm doing it descending order, so I'm going like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to do worst first, and we're going to do... Oh, God, I'm going to get murdered for this. Right, number 10 is Frozen 2. Look, I wasn't a huge fan of Frozen. It was fine. It was fine. It's just, it didn't appeal to me the way it appealed to many other people, and I had to go see Frozen 2 on a trip with brownies. So I got sort of stuck having to watch the movie that I really wasn't that interested in the first place. It's certainly by a long way not the worst Disney sequel that I've ever seen, but Disney sequels rarely live up to the original, and this was sort of another one that, like, once you start talking about the plot and picking it apart, it makes very little sense. And they didn't give Idina Mendes like a show-stopping number, which is quite frankly criminal because she's just such a wonderful singer. So yeah, Frozen 2 was my choice for number 10. Number 9 is Annabelle Comes Home. A friend of mine had said, like, oh, have you seen the other movies? So I was like, oh, I have not. So I ended up getting them on iTunes because they were on like a bundle, because like Annabelle Comes Home had just come out. And I ended up watching all the movies in the series, and oh, they're very mediocre. And as is Annabelle Comes Home. Like, it's, again, it's not the worst movie ever made. It's just not terribly interesting. And I think as I get older, I've moved much further away from supernatural stuff when it comes to horror. Like, I tend to find, like, slasher films a lot more appealing. And if it's going to be supernatural, I prefer a monster, like a vampire or a werewolf, not a dolly. The fact that as well it's all based on those like charlatans who came up with the Amityville horror thing is also like it leaves a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. But yeah, we don't really need to have an in-depth analysis on why Annabelle Comes Home was not the horror classic that perhaps they thought it might have become. Okay, number 8 is a Netflix movie called Velvet Buzzsaw. Um, I really wanted to like it because I love Rene Russo so much. Like Rene Russo is just this like ethereally beautiful like actress who I just admire so much. Um, but yeah, it wasn't very good. It's about some evil paintings. Yeah, it's a movie about evil paintings. If you're really that curious, it's on Netflix. But that's 2 hours of your life you're not going to get back. I'm just saying. Okay. 9, 8, 7. Number 7 is the How to Train Your Dragon 3 movie. Here's the thing about the How to Train Your Dragon series. I really, really love like the character of Toothless, and like I loved the first movie. The second movie was like okay, on the third movie. Now the series is very good. Like it's like fleshes out characters and the like, but the third movie was it was floundering. And I realise that these are based on books, and I am not entirely sure how the book series ended because I've not read them. But if that is how the book series ended, it's like a little disappointing that it would be so stereotypical that that's the ending of it. But the baby dragons were very cute. I will say that they were very, very cute. Not cute enough for me to warrant like spending all my money on the 11 different versions that were produced for the merchandise, but cute, yes. Okay, number 6 is It Chapter 2. I did cover this movie quite in depth when it came out. I just felt it didn't hold up to the first part of the series, and that's really not that much to do with the actors and more to do with the source material. Sorry, Stephen King. Because the source material itself is not great, but we did not need to fight another spider in the third act, is what I shall say about that. Number 5 is Hellboy. Now, I really wanted to like it. And I liked parts of it. I liked parts of it. But overall, I felt like it was a bit messy. Like the CG stuff was. I think Game of Thrones has a lot to answer for because it's like since that came out, like things like audiences are blood hungry. We can do really gross stuff now, but it's really better when you do really gross stuff with like practical effects and not just CG. I'm just gonna say that. I liked the guy who played Hellboy. I really didn't like the plot of the movie. And being a British person and used to being like portrayed as the bad guys in movies, can I just say that like it's now going into the year 2020 and can we stop that please? Thank you. Thank you. Please and thanks. Okay. Number 4 is Dark Phoenix. That was terrible. What a disappointing end to an otherwise interesting part of the X-Men franchise. Oh god, that was bad. It wasn't as bad as X-Men 3, of course, but it was pretty bad indeed. I liked the actors in it. I thought they played the parts well. It's just the writing was very poor and it was poorly represented on screen. Number 3 is again another Netflix one. This is In the Tall Grass. Now this is an adaptation of a Stephen King. Sorry, Stephen. I'm really so sorry. But this is about an evil field of wheat. You go into the field of wheat and you are lost forever. And oh god, like there are videos on YouTube dedicated to how to beat in the tall grass, so like I don't want to go over all of the points that other people have made far more succinctly than I. But there was like when I was watching it, I could think of maybe 12 things off the top of my head while I was watching it. Well, they could have done that, or they could have done that, or they could have done that, or they could have done that. And wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, also confusingly woozingy. That's what I'm going to say. Um, Number 2 is a film perhaps you might not have heard of. It's called Possum. Um, and I really wanted to like this movie. This is a British, it's a horror movie for lack of a better word, but it's not. It has Alan Armstrong in it, who I love, who is just an excellent, excellent actor, and he's very good in the part. It's the plot. I watched the movie and I was so confused. So then I got the book that it was based on, and like I read the short story, and I was still very, very confused. And then like I read like several interviews with like the writer and the director, and I was just like sitting there going, huh, and still really not sure what it was that I had watched. Um, it's a very odd movie. Um, it's just it's not for me. It's not for me. It might be your thing. It might really be your thing. I know that like lots of people are like, "Oh my god, this movie is amazing," but I'm not one of those people. So if you watch it and you enjoy it and you're like, "That girl doesn't know what she's talking about," this is just a personal opinion, just a personal preferences. Okay, for me, it wasn't my movie, but Alan Armstrong is absolutely excellent in it because he's excellent in everything, and I love him. And my number 1 worst. Don't come for me, please. Oh, don't come for me. Please don't come for me. Avengers Endgame. The time heist made me go cross-eyed, trying to figure out the temporal mechanics of it. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, and I was displeased with the send off that our heroes got. I was displeased that they killed Black Widow. I was displeased that Cap got to go live his happy ending and Tony got to die after being the hero of the Avengers. His reward was to die. And that displeased me because Tony is my favourite character. So that is why. Okay? Like, I'm not saying that it was a badly made movie. I'm saying that it was the film I disliked the most this year because of that. Okay? That's literally the reason Tony Stark is my bear. Okay? Okay. Right. Let's do the best list because I'm going to be much happier and I need a drink. I need a drink. Where is my juice? There is my juice. Excuse me, I am getting a cold. Okay, so we're going to do the best. Start with number 10, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I covered this at Halloween. What an excellent movie. Really, really good. If you're a horror fan, you're an anthology fan, it was very good. I did a full video talking about how much I liked it, so I'm not going to go on too much. But yes, that was my number choice. Number 10, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Oh, excuse me. Number 9, The Lego Movie 2. As a sequel, generally, like, especially when it comes to, like, animated or children's movies, they tend to not be very good. But The Lego Movie 2 was great. There was a lot of thought put into it. Excuse me, I am very sorry. They thought ahead clear enough when making the first one to prepare for the second one. I don't want to say too much. I don't want like to spoiler people on this particular one because the spoilers I think would ruin the movie. But I thought it was really excellent. It had a lot of heart and it was a great entry. I don't know if I like it as much as the first one, but certainly I liked it enough to put it in my top 10. Number 8 is Crawl. And again, I covered this at Halloween. This is a crocodile movie or an alligator movie made by Alexandra Archer, who is director of like Piranha 3D and The Hills Have Eyes remake. Very much like him as a horror director. And again, I covered this at Halloween and about how much I liked it. So if you're into like crocodile and alligator movies, this is a good one to check out. 10, 9, 8, 7. Why didn't I number these? Number 7 is a Netflix movie called The Perfection. What a film. What a film. Like, sometimes you watch like a Netflix production and you're like, well, it's all right for Netflix. And then sometimes you watch a Netflix production and you're like, Netflix made this? This is actually good. The Perfection is about a girl who was like, what's the word for it? When someone's dead good at something, she was dead good at playing the cello. And she was like a really important musical student, and then her mum got very ill and she had to leave the music school, and then this is like her mum's died, so now she's like come back to a music school to like reconnect with people from her past. And oh, does it take you in ways you are really not expecting. I loved every second of it. Like, I watched it and then I watched it again like the next day, and then the next day again. Like, I was just like, I just want to watch this movie again and again and again. Like, when I enjoy a movie, I'll just watch it over and over and over. And I did with The Perfection. It was very good. So if you've not checked it out, and if you're a horror fan, this is one that I highly recommend. Okay, number 6, Pokemon Detective Pikachu. I love Pokemon. I've always loved Pokemon. I was a child when Pokemon came out. Oh my god, I'm so old. It was very good. The effects were brilliant. It really, really did look like the Pokemon were real, which, why can't I live in that world and have my own Pokemon, is what I would say to that. Ryan Reynolds was absolutely brilliant as like the Pikachu. Everyone in it was really good. I did see stuff coming, but it was still done well. Like, just because I like figure out like the plot of something doesn't necessarily make it bad, because I'm very good at figuring things out when I'm watching. I say very good. I hate it. I hate it because I can't just watch something and enjoy it. But yes, Detective Pikachu was a really entertaining movie. It was a lot of fun to watch, and if they do like another one within that world, I'd be very happy to see it. Very happy. Uh, Number 5 is Spider-Man Far From Home. I love Spider-Man. I've always loved Spider-Man. Spider-Man was my first love. I totally fell in love with Spider-Man when I was a child, with the original Spider-Man, Nicholas Hammond, who is so handsome, so handsome. Was totally in love with him. And I grew up like watching the 60s Spider-Man cartoon, and the 90s one came around and I was like, oh my god, it's so good. Like, I just love Spider-Man. So Far From Home was, it was really great. I really like Tom Holland. It was a bit wibbly wobbly there for a few months when we thought that we weren't going to get any sort of a resolution to this, because Sony were like grabbing at it, but Disney just did what they did, and they sorted it all out, and they're probably just going to own everything by the end of this century. Everything will just be owned by Disney. That's my prediction for 20, no, for 2101, Disney will own everything, okay? You heard it here first. Number 4 is Shazam! Oh my god, a DC movie! It actually made it onto the good list. When I say like Marvel good, DC bad, there are some exceptions, one of which is Shazam. That was a lot of fun. I did watch like Shazam as a kid. There was like a cartoon. And I read like some of the comics and stuff, but it's never been like the biggest of characters. Like obviously they dodged around the fact that he's actually called Captain Marvel, and that Marvel are being like petty when they did their own Captain Marvel. But Shazam was really, really good. Really enjoyed it. And the fact that it was a DC movie, which had colour and humour and everything, that just, it made it get bumped up a little bit more. Okay. Top three movies for 2019. Number 3, Rise of Skywalker. I don't care that people don't like it. I like it. I went to see it twice. I really liked the movie. It was basically Dark Empire, which is like the greatest Star Wars book ever written, but just done again. So yes, yay for Rise of Skywalker. Always have more Palpatine. Anything can be improved by rubbing more Emperor Palpatine on it. Number 2, Captain Marvel. The other Captain Marvel, the not Shazam Captain Marvel, the Marvel Captain Marvel. I recently read that apparently people didn't like it. Like, what movie were you watching? It was awesome. It was such, like, I was like a 90s kid, so like the soundtrack to that movie was just, oh my god, every song, and I was like, yes, give me more Nirvana. And like, oh my god, Annette Bening was just marvelous in it, so good. And I don't want to spoil it, but like the stuff that Captain Marvel brought to the table for the MCU, just like sort of actually got me interested in what the next cycle is going to be. You know, like now that they've like gotten rid of the best character that was in it, well, the 2 best characters in it, well, most of the best characters that were in it have now left. You know, like it's on wobbly ground, but I believe that Captain Marvel could stabilise that. And my number 1 pick for best film of the year is Joker. Another DC film! Which was a very big surprise to me that one of the Marvel films went onto the bad list and that DC films were in the top 3. But that's how it worked out. I loved it. I loved Joaquin Phoenix. He is now my favourite live-action Joker, just pipping Jack Nicholson. Just pipping him a little bit. Obviously, Mark Hamill is still the best Joker overall. Let's not pretend that like there were things happening that didn't happen. But it was a really, really excellent movie, and I very much enjoyed it. And it was something so different. Like, I can see why it resonated with a lot of people. And yes, that was my choice for number 1. So that's my top 10 best and worst movies of the year. Like, usually what happens is like between maybe February, March time, I'll have ended up seeing a couple of movies that were 2019 movies, and I'll be like, God damn it, that should have been on the list as well. But I literally cannot just watch every single movie that comes out in the year because, 1, I'm poor, and 2, that I don't think it would be possible unless someone was like acquiring all of the movies for me and being like, here you go, here you go, because not everything gets a theatrical release in the UK, and other things as well. So yes, if you are interested in further lists, please like, subscribe. Information is down below. Leave me an internet thumbsy up, see? Every little bit helps, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.